What's going on, guys? Today we're going to do a video with two 16-inch ARs with Palmetto State Armory barrels. These are two guns that I built over the years, and I just wanted to kind of put some good glass on them, test them side by side with two different loads, and then we're going to shoot each of them out to 500 yards with two prospective loads. Now, the reason that I'm doing this is I recently did some videos with a 10.5-inch gun, and I shot two bullets, one being a 69 grain Sierra Match King and the other being a 53 grain VMAX. I shot those out to 500 yards. So what I want to do today is I want to shoot these two guns side by side. Now they're nearly identical barrels. They're 1-in-7 twist, 16-inch mid-length gas. They're both melanited, and they're both, like I said, from Palmetto. One of the guns is a complete upper. The other I bought as a complete upper, and I made some changes to it, but they're both essentially the same barrel. So what I want to do is shoot them out to distance, gather some drop data on those bullets. I want to see how that velocity out of a 16-inch gun compares to the velocity that I got out of the 10.5-inch gun. And then I'm going to pull the optic back off, and these two rifles will end up being set up completely different. So what we have is this is the first rifle. This one is the only difference being that this is a set screw type gas block, and the other gun has got a pinned, a taper pinned gas block. So 16-inch upper here. The other 16-inch upper here, I've done a video about this gun in the past, but I will be using this vortex optic on both the guns, just because I want this to be a test of the true mechanical accuracy of the guns. And these LPVOs, like the one I have on this other gun, are the magnification is pretty low, and the reticle is pretty thick, so it's kind of hard to be very precise with that. So I'll pull this off to do my accuracy testing, and then I'll be resetting this gun back up, and I've got an LPVO to put on the other gun, which actually future video about that one. I'm trying out a new LPVO on that one. So we're going to go ahead and head on out to the range, shoot some groups, and then we'll go out on steel and shoot a little further. I'm also going to test out of both of these rifles. I'm going to shoot some groups at 100 with the with some Barnes 55 grain monocore bullets, just because I shot a couple, or I should say I had my kids shoot a couple deer last year with those bullets out of an 18-inch AR, and they worked really good. So I'd like to see which one of these is going to shoot those better, and then I'd have an option for a light handy deer rifle if I needed it. So we're going to head on out to the range. All right, we're set up at 100 yards here. With the first rifle, we'll be shooting a 5-round group of the 55 grain Barnes TSX. We'll follow that up with a 5-round group of the 53 grain VMAX. And then lastly, we're going to shoot the 5-round group of the 69 grain Sierra Match Kings. Shooting those last because that's what I'll be taking this gun out to 500 yards with. We will be shooting suppressed today, and I should mention this rifle has a H3 buffer and no adjustable gas block. Okay, well, obviously it hated the Barnes bullets. We got what I would call a scatter plot here, probably a 4-inch group. After that, we shot the 53 grain VMAX. Got a lot of horizontal spread here. I'm not sure what that's about, but a better group, probably a 2 to 2.5 inch group. And then we finished up here on the 69 grain Sierra Match Kings, which it obviously shot those the best. I knew that, and I had this zeroed for that. And that's what I'll be shooting out the distance. So we're going to go ahead and get set up on the steel range, and we're going to go shoot it out to 500 yards and gather some velocity data. Starting off at 200 yards, we're going to shoot a few rounds. We're going to start off with a 1/2 mil hold. I'm comparing my velocity to the last time I shot these bullets out of my 10.5 inch. So I ended up settling on a velocity around 2,300, maybe a little under 2,300 with the 10.5. So I'm just making a guess, and I'm going to say I'm starting out at 2,500 out of this 16 inch gun. So we're going to try a 1/2 mil hold and see where we hit. Moving on to 300 yards here. One thing you might be noticing if you've watched my previous videos where I was gathering footage through my spotting scope is that I'm working with a new tripod. So even though we've got more wind out here today than we usually do, it's not jumping around like it used to. So hit pretty well where we expected at 200 yards. So moving on to 300 yards, the app is calling for 1.5 mils. Took me a couple rounds to get on at 300. The left to right wind is really kicking pretty hard, so I had to hold off the left edge. But my velocity was right on, so we're going to go ahead and move on to 400 yards here. App is calling for 2.7 mils of elevation, and I'm going to hold a full mil of wind. All right, going to move on out to 500 yards. Took me there a couple shots to get on at 400. Elevation looked really good, maybe a touch high, but ended up backing off my wind hold to about 3/4 of a mil. So at 500, it's calling for 4 mils of elevation, and I'm going to hold the full 1 mil to start out with and see where we hit. Ended up making a correction down to 3.8 mils, so I'll go ahead and enter that in my app and see where that ends up. And about a 1 mil hold of wind was just about right. So we'll move on back to the 100-yard line with the other rifle. Now we got the scope moved over to the other rifle. Going to do the same thing here at 100 yards. Going to shoot a 5-round group of the 55 grain Barnes. Follow that up with a 5-round group of the 53 grain VMAX. And finish it off with the 5-round group of the 69 grain Sierra Match Kings. Only difference between this rifle and the other one is, as I mentioned, this has got a pinned gas block, non-adjustable gas block, and I'm running an H2 buffer in this one. Well, I think if anything, we can draw the conclusion that this barrel hates the 55 grain Barnes even more than the other one does. Not surprising. I've shot those through this one before and I didn't have good luck. I've actually only found one barrel that shoots them decent enough, and that's one of my 18-inch ARs. But first one here, second two here, next two, I don't know, they went off paper somewhere. But then we loaded up the 53 grain VMAX, shot this group here just a tiny bit over an inch, and then we shot this group over here with the 69 grain Sierra Match King. And other than that first one there, they fell into a pretty small group here. So I knew it shot those well too. I've shot those in this rifle before, but this 53 grain VMAX is the one we're going to go ahead and shoot out to 500 yards. All right, we're at the 200 yard line here with the other rifle, shooting the 53 grain VMAX. App is calling for a 1/2 mil at 200 yards. Okay, 2 hits there at 200, hitting a little bit high. I started with my 15.5 inch velocity that I had set at 2500, bumped that up to 2750. I think I'll go ahead and make another correction up on that, and then we'll move to 300 yards. At 300 yards, we're going to dial 1.2 mils, and we're going to hold a 1/2 mil to the left. Moving on to 400 yards, I made another velocity correction. I'm up to 2900, and it's calling for right at 2 mils of elevation and about 3/4 mil wind hold. Good hits there at 400 yards with that 2,900 feet per second velocity. I'm going to go ahead and move on to 500 yards, and I'm going to dial 3.1 mils and hold about 3/4 again. Managed to get on there at 500. As we head up the hill, there's fewer trees to block the wind, and it's throwing those little bullets all over the place, but still managed to get a few hits on, and looks like that 2,900 feet per second velocity is pretty close. I may back off to 29 or 2875 or something like that. We'll go ahead and wrap the shooting portion up and head back inside. Well, we got all of our shooting done. My takeaway from this little exercise is that for one thing, you can't depend on, rules of thumb for what velocity difference is going to be across barrel lengths. For instance, the 69 grain Sierra Match Kings that we shot today, previously out of my 10.5 inch gun, I had backed out around 2,300, probably more like 2,270 velocity, and then today shooting it out of the 16 inch gun, 2,560 was getting us good consistent hits. So about a 300 foot per second spread there. The 53 grain VMAX out of the 10.5 inch gun, we're running about 2,500, and then today we bumped those up to around 2,900. Obviously, it becomes apparent when you go further out there, especially on a windy day like we had today, how much that higher BC of that 69 grain bullet really helps you. The wind was kind of blowing that 53 grain all around, but I've got the rifles back in here. I pulled the scope off of this one. I will be mounting this Tribe optic to it. It's a 1:6 power. The reviews I read said that it was probably just a Vortex Strike Eagle knockoff, and this gun actually, I'm running a Vortex 1:6 Strike Eagle. This is an old one. I don't even know if this reticle that I have is the current reticle in the Strike Eagle, but I'll be setting that other gun up with a 1:6 as well, and it'll look a lot like this when I'm done. I am going to be changing this piggyback mount out for one that will take just a regular enclosed emitter red dot, probably like something cheap like a Sig Romeo 5 or something like that. You will notice that this scope looks gold. This is a black scope that has sat in a vehicle in the sun so long that it bleached itself this color. I did not do that. So eventually this will get a rattle can paint job, but So I'll get these guns set up. Pretty happy with the way this shoots the 53 grain VMAX. That's kind of what I've settled on for this rifle. It's a great varmint bullet. The 69 grain bullets are just, I've been shooting those just because I had a bunch of those laying around. Once I shoot those up, I probably won't use them. They're a fine target bullet, but you can't use them for hunting or anything like that. They don't really kill at all. I've shot a few pigs with them and had some success there because they stay together pretty good, but pretty much anything else they pencil through and don't really do anything. So anyway, look forward to sort of a semi-review on that Tribe optic in a future video, and thanks for watching.